rehabilitate the genocider Black Hitler, Secretary of State Antony Blinken departs for Ethiopia. This visit by itself is a crime against humanity. Biden administration bows before Ethiopian genocide and wastes Somaliland opportunity. The Washington Examiner. By Michael Rubin, March 14, 2023. Speaking at the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit, President Joe Biden declared, "The United States is all in on Africa and all in with Africa." Biden continued, "The choices that we make today and the remainder of this decade and how we tackle these challenges, in my view, will determine the direction the entire world takes in the decades to come." Alas, the choices Biden's team now makes do not bode well for the future. Don't derail UN investigation of Tigray genocide in name of peace. On Tuesday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken departs for Ethiopia. His visit rehabilitates Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, a man responsible for the Tigray genocide. In November 2020, Abiy suspended elections and ordered Ethiopia's army to take over the Tigray state. Tigrayans preempted the attack and then fought back. Ultimately, Abiy besieged the region to cause a famine that killed hundreds of thousands of people. He meanwhile rounded up Tigrayans in Ethiopia's capital. Ethiopian and their Eritrean allies looted, raped, and stole. Abiy's war laid infrastructure to waste and cost the Ethiopian economy tens of billions of dollars. To rehabilitate Abiy now is a choice by Biden to sweep Abiy's actions under the rug. It is a choice to reward the Ethiopian despot for genocide. It is a choice to allow him to outsource murder to Eritrea without consequence. It is a choice to greenlight Abiy's willingness to repeat the Tigray playbook against any other group that questions his Messiah complex and leadership. Freedom House ranks Ethiopia as among the world's least free countries, not much better off than Russia and less free than the Persian Gulf's absolute monarchies. Niger, the second and final stop on his swing through Africa, is more democratic. It sits alongside El Salvador and Tunisia in the rankings. But Blinken goes mostly because Niger is home to the chief U.S. drone base in Africa. What is curious is Blinken's top omission. While Biden's team says it will compete against China, Blinken studiously avoids any visit to Somaliland, the most democratic country in the Horn of Africa and a country that, unlike Ethiopia and Niger, cast its lot with Taiwan and Western democracies. If Biden and Blinken are serious about countering China, they should not treat China's partisans better than they treat America's allies. Rather, it seems Blinken deliberately and irrationally seeks to throw Somaliland under the bus in deference to State Department's bureaucratic interests. Too many African hands in foggy bottom worry more about antagonizing Somalia's entrenched interests than they do about advancing America's strategic position in the region. The State Department also seeks figuratively to give a middle finger to Congress that incorporated provisions in the 2023 National Defense Authorization Act that called for a greater U.S. partnership with Somaliland. The icing on the cake is Somaliland's potential with rare earths, something to which both Biden and Blinken now turn their backs. I have flown from Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa to Somaliland's capital Hargeisa. It takes 45 minutes. To get to the center of town is another 15 minutes. Figure an hour meeting and then a return to Ethiopia. For Blinken to say he does not have 3 hours to celebrate African democracy and reward countries who say no to Beijing shows just how unserious Biden and Blinken are when it comes to countering China's inroads in Africa. Biden promised to make choices for the future. Unfortunately, he now makes all the wrong ones.
Today is my first day as U.S. Secretary of State, and recording this message is one of the first things I'm doing, because Holocaust Remembrance Day matters a great deal. It matters to me personally, as the stepson of a Holocaust survivor. My stepfather was just a boy when he lost his entire family to the Nazis. He spent nearly 4 years in labor and death camps before he managed to escape, and was later rescued by American troops. The story made a deep impression on me. It taught me that evil on a grand scale can and does happen in our world, and that we have a responsibility to do everything we can to stop it. Those lessons are as vital now as they've ever been, maybe more so. It's no accident that people who seek to create instability and undermine democracy often try to cast doubt on the Holocaust. They want to blur the line between truth and lies. They want to use disinformation and conspiracy theories to gain power. And they want to provoke hate against Jewish people and more broadly against refugees and asylum seekers, people of color, LGBTQ people, anyone who has been targeted for violence and dehumanized because of who they are. That's why it's so important that we speak the truth about the past, to protect the facts when others try to distort or trivialize Holocaust crimes, and to seek justice for the survivors and their families. Every day that I serve as Secretary of State, I will carry the memory of my stepfather and his family and the 6 million Jewish people and millions of others who were killed during the Holocaust. I will remember that a nation's power isn't measured only by the size of its military and economy, but by the moral choices it makes. And I will remember that atrocities like the Holocaust don't just happen. They're allowed to happen. It's up to us to stop them. Never again. Thank you.
We have, as you know, forces from Eritrea that are there, and we have forces from an adjoining region, Amara, that are there. They need to come out. And a force that will not abuse the human rights of the people of Tigray or commit acts of ethnic cleansing, which we've seen in Western Tigray, that has to stop. We also need full accountability. We need to get an independent investigation into what took place there.